Welcome to SABC Digital News Tech Wrap. In case you've missed it, these are the big tech stories of the week. Company Google has reserved its decision to remove several links to stories in Britain's Guardian newspaper, underscoring the difficulty the search engine is having implementing Europe's right to forget ruling. Google reported last week that it received 70,000 removal requests.
Following a strict privacy ruling made in May by the European Union's High Court, Google says it had received 70,000 removal request applications by the end of June. The tech giant has complied with the court's decision and has begun taking down individuals' personal information from their search engine. However, there are some grey areas to the story. At least 3 British media, including the Guardian newspaper and public broadcaster BBC, say they have been notified by Google that links to some of their articles have been removed from search results in Europe. The Guardian says 6 articles have been removed in what the newspaper calls a challenge to press freedom. The BBC says 1 blog entry was removed, while the Mail Online saw 4 articles removed. This looks like yet another conundrum for the European Union to solve.
Wi-Fi Telkom public phones are not yet available, as widely reported by the media last week. Telkom says it is still currently conducting a feasibility study to establish if public phone booths can be used as Wi-Fi hotspot for internet connectivity in the future.
South Africa has over 100% penetration of mobile phones. This means that just about every South African has at least one cell phone, with others owning more than one. And that has put a dent on landline operator Telkom's business.
Nobody uses payphones anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
We've seen it decrease in great multiples.
To respond to this, Telkom says it's currently conducting a feasibility study of converting public phone booths to hotspots for internet connectivity.
The idea, which is in its infancy, is to say we've got the infrastructure, we've got cables going to that payphone, and the next phase of connectivity is data rather than voice telephony.
Telkom told Network that what they are doing is just to test whether this will be possible. In his interview, Telkom's marketing lead said if this does happen, then individuals will be able to be connected to the internet within a 10-meter radius from a payphone. Telkom says this idea is still under discussion, therefore cannot advise on rollout dates.
Access to SA government data will promote transparency. Speaking to the SABC Union Honorary Chair, an Alliance of Affordable Internet, Dr. Bitange Ndemo, says open data helped improve transparency in Kenya.
The Kenya open data was it was a super headache to get it through, but eventually the government accepted that we create that the code for Kenya. And initially, we had a lot of problems because citizens don't just, most of them don't even understand what data is or how does it impact on their lives. So we partnered with African Media Initiative and they began to train media personnel how they can write their stories using the data. We can be able, for example, now there's a project I'm involved with young application developers to understand the consumption patterns. Now, when you understand the consumption patterns and you make it simpler to the people, if you are selling vegetables and you go to that platform, you are actually able to know where the demand is. Previously, you find women selling their vegetables here where there is a surplus, meaning that at the end of the day, they would either throw it away, and they are doing that when a few kilometers down the road, there is demand for their produce. So if you create a knowledge management system that gives them, there is demand here, this is the demand that is required here, this is the much can be sold here, you reduce the amount of waste that we have. And once you reduce waste, it means you are now addressing food security because much of the produce used to go to waste, like tomatoes. If they can't be able to sell, they will throw them away. African governments suffer from endemic corruption. And the moment we put data out there, how did you spend the money that you were given? It removes the opaqueness around public spending. It makes African governments to look better because all over the world we are the ones way at the bottom with respect to Transparency International. We need to improve that. We need to spend our resources more adequately, more transparently, and be able to utilize the resources well for the purposes that we want to do. That's actually a major benefit.
Social media giant Facebook upset the online community and many of its users when it revealed last week that it had manipulated the emotional content of over 500,000 accounts in 2012. Vodacom has won the Please Call Me case. A High Court ruling in Johannesburg found that Vodacom was not liable to compensate former employee Nkosana Makate for the Please Call Me idea, which he claims was his idea.
It was in March of 2001 that South Africans were introduced to the product that made it possible for customers with airtime to be requested to call those without airtime. The idea was pitched to Vodacom by the company's then employee, Nkosana Makate. But a High Court ruling in Johannesburg on Thursday found that Vodacom was not liable to compensate Makate for his idea. The court said, "We know for a fact that the Please Call Me service was pitched to another Vodacom employee by Makate because Vodacom had given credit to him in its newsletter email." Makate pretty much lost the case because being given credit in an email did not meet the criteria for evidence that an agreement was in place between him and Vodacom. Vodacom has a policy to not compensate employees for their ideas, which may be lucrative above the normal salary they're paid. Makate will be appealing the ruling.